that?
Uh-huh.
Okay, here we are. So welcome everyone. It's good to see you all. And I'm just gonna pin. There. Okay. So we're gonna continue from last week. I'm gonna start with a review because there's two distinct um sections of this sutta. One is the nutriment for the hindrances. So we know what nourishes the hindrances and perpetuates them. So if we know that, if we're aware of that, then we can de-nourish the hindrances. So starve the hindrances. And so there was this Burmese teacher. He was with a group of people, and one lady was saying, he was talking about, like, they can get kind of really kind of tough, when their speech about the defilements and stuff. And so some lady was starting to kind of get concerned because they was being so fierce about the defilements, and he said, don't be kind to the defilements. So this is yeah. Anyway, so that's a kind of but I think just the idea that we're seeing what we do to perpetuate the hindrances. So if we understand that clearly, then we don't have to continue doing that. It's actually can be an easeful way, but it might be difficult for us to change our habits. So I'm going to start with the screen share. See if I've got it open. No, that's the wrong one.
No, that's why I was asking you to change tabs. This one.
So I just
go ahead and click on it, and then you can change tabs. Share.
Okay, there it goes.
Yeah,
I shared it.
very good.
So I'm starting down in the document with the review. So it's important to know what are the hindrances, and this is why the Buddha, there's all this repetition for memory's sake. And monks, there are these 5 hindrances. Which 5? Sensual desire as a hindrance, ill will as a hindrance, sloth and drowsiness as a hindrance, restlessness and anxiety as a hindrance, and uncertainty, that's often called doubt, and restlessness and remorse is one. Restlessness and remorse is one, and uncertainty or doubt is one. So those are the 5 hindrances, and they obstruct our progress and development of satipatthana and the bojjhangas. So the establishments of mindfulness, the foundations of mindfulness, and the awakening factors, or the factors of enlightenment, depending on the translator. So I'm scrolling up here. We talked about in the sutta, it talks about ayoniso manasikara bahulikaro, which is a bahulikaro, doing something frequently. And this is improper attention or regular practice of careless attention. This is how Bhante Bodhi translates Yoniso Manasikara. And lots of imprudent use of the mind. So if we are attending to the hindrance itself improperly, we perpetuate it, we feed it. And that's basically what it was saying again and again. So attending to the quality of the hindrance itself and reinforcing it is how we feed it. focusing on aversion itself. This is an example. This is something I just wrote in my notes so I can remember to speak about it. Focusing on aversion or whatever desire, are you looking at the qualities that are repulsive in something when you have, like a person you don't like, and then you just pick on all the things that you don't like about them. You notice, oh, they misplaced something, or they spit, whatever it was, they said something incorrectly or what, and you just focus all the negative stuff instead of their positive qualities. So it's reinforcing negativity. So that's feeding it. But if instead you maybe had compassion, or you looked at their positive qualities, I'm just using a person because they're most complex thing you know, or with greed for food or something, you might think, oh, the disadvantage of overeating or something like that. Uh, or it's going to raise my cholesterol or my blood sugar or something. So anyway, so you instead of, you kind of balance it out, or you notice one, I think of this, the awareness, turning it around and just being aware. Oh, I'm feeding the hindrance there uh when I obsess on it in a particular way. So this is a review of the 5 hindrances. And then we started last week looking at this sutta, and I just wanted to briefly, this is extracts. And this is Ajahn Thanissara's translation. Monks, independence on the Himalayas, the king of the mountains, the it is in dependence on the Himalayas, the king of the mountains, that serpents or nagas grow in body and strength. And then it talks about how they start out in small pools and streams, and then as they grow, they get into larger bodies of water till they make it to the ocean as large, these tremendous beings, tremendous nagas. In the same way, independence on virtue, established on virtue or ethics, is how Bhante Sujato translates it. Having developed and pursued the 7 factors for awakening, that a monk attains to greatness, prosperity in terms of mental qualities. So I wanted to bring this in again because this is a support. This is a nutriment for the establishments of mindfulness, or the foundations of mindfulness, mindfulness meditations, as Bhante Sujato says, and the awakening factors. So, and for all the so our keeping our precepts well. If we don't keep our precepts well, then we're not going to make much progress on the path. And unless we start, with our observation, we see how not keeping the precepts is causing us, as it's an obstruction. We start see direct cause and effect. We're observing with, when I told a lie the other day, and I'm ruminating about it. I'm trying to meditate, and all I can think about is, what am I going to do about this, because I blew it, something like that. So if we start observing very carefully, oh yes, how important the precepts is, then our meditation can help us bring that around. But if we're just oblivious, we're just we'd just be in some state of delusion if we think we're having great meditation and we're not keeping our sila well at all. So this is part 2. So we're jumping to, we're going to look at the document first, and then we're going to go to the sutta. Um, so Bojjhangas is a factors of awakening or enlightenment factors, depending how you like to translate it. So this is Bhante Bodhi's translation. There are bhikkhus things that are bases for the enlightenment factor of mindfulness. Frequently giving careful attention to them is the nutriment for the arising of unarisen enlightenment factor of mindfulness, and for the fulfillment by development of the arisen enlightenment factor of mindfulness. Actually, do you have the sutta itself open?
I do.
Because could you start it with actually start reading the part that's
The
just
awakening
before?
factors part?
Yeah, just that
Um,
part. Let me
the
see.
This body sustained by food, it depends on food to continue, and without food it doesn't continue. In the same way, the seven awakening factors are sustained by fuel. They depend on fuel to continue, and without fuel, they don't continue.
So that's for,
That's the beginning. Do you want me to go into mindfulness?
is that Sujato's? Yeah.
Yeah, that's Sujatos. I can do the other one.
Yeah, I just read Bhante Bodhi, so if
Okay.
you could read that too.
And then continue in mindfulness.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
And what fuels the arising of the awakening factor of mindfulness, or when it has arisen, fully develops it? There are things that are grounds for the awakening factor of mindfulness. Frequent rational application of mind to them fuels the arising of the awakening factor of mindfulness, or when it has arisen, fully develops it. And I think you've talked about this, that it's both awakening, factors for awakening and factors of awakening.
Okay. So it's either nourishing or fueling.
Mhm.
And um, frequent careful attention or rational application of the mind.
Yep.
And this is yoniso manasikara. And then we have this, we had ayoniso manasikara was fueling the hindrances. So the makes something a negation. So not being attentive carefully. So careless attention and irrational
Mm-hmm.
application of mind rather than rational application of mind. This is how translators, they're trying to get the sense of what we're actually doing. So yeah, attending, they said there was also the word prudent. uh, so I want to look at this word yoniso manasikara because it's very keen and what we're actually doing to support mindfulness. And mindfulness itself is a kind of presence, attentiveness, and there's a right mindfulness and wrong mindfulness. So on yoniso manasikara is a support for it's a wisdom factor. It's a quality of attention. So it's going a little bit. Yeah, I've got yoniso
Thought it was further down in your notes.
further down. Did I put it further down? Here it is. Here's
okay.
yoniso. So this is wise attention, careful attention, rational application of mind. This is different translators. I've seen it as wise attention. I mean, this is it's because it's one of those words that probably doesn't have a single English word that would really say what what it is. And you can see it's a compound word. And I'm showing you that Yoniso Manasikara is, it's interesting, radical attention, paying proper attention. This is from the digital dictionary. Prudently applying the mind, wise reflection, focused attention, attention to the source. I put the underline there. Literally making the source in mind. Yeah, so yoniso is having to do with the womb. So that's the source where things are born from. And manasikara is like mana is mind, and kara has to do with making or doing.
I like the radical and prudent. The prudent I like because it brings in the quality of care. Radical I like because it's got multiple definitions that kind of really work. It's outside the norm, and it's relating to or affecting the fundamental nature of something. Thorough.
Can you repeat that slowly?
Yeah, I do speak quick.
No, that's okay.
Relating to or affecting the fundamental nature of something. Thorough. So it's a thorough looking at, but I think it also needs that softness of care that prudence brings in, which to me is the yoni. It goes back to womb, and that's it's an environment of care, but it's really getting at the fundamental nature of the construction of things when you're talking about a womb. So
Yeah,
it's an interesting analogy.
but the womb here
Is the yoni part.
is having to do with the source and origin.
Yep.
But you can bring in that support. Yeah, where it's coming from, where it's but there is the nurturance of the womb as well. But thorough, careful, intelligent, radical. I don't see yeah, well, it's interesting that this, yeah. I don't see this is like there was, see, now this is 7 and 8, so there was quite a few above that weren't really the related to this. And then here's Manasikara. Attention, bringing to mind, observation, noticing, focusing, and then literally it's making in the mind. So mana's mind, and kara is the making part. So if we want to jump back and forth, we read this. Oh, you've got the
sutta, which one?
Maybe I should just switch to, could you read the is this
too jumpy, or are we?
I don't know, we could go back to the actual part about we should probably go back because we're getting into definitions here. And then the Tana, this is the thing, that's what we're focusing on, yoniso, because what are we doing? How are we nourishing mindfulness? How are we supporting mindfulness so it can grow and be continuous? And so giving frequent, careful attention, rational attention, radical attention to the basis. Okay, so what is that? Basis or grounds for the awakening factor of mindfulness. So what are the bases? You ask. That's what I asked when I saw this. And so according to the commentaries, this is here. Yeah, we are kind of jumping around, but I didn't know how to really, the commentaries here, things that become objects of mindfulness. Chattaro Satipatthana. So Tani is in this Satisambhojanga Taniya, Taniya, Taniya. So it says supports mindfulness as an element of the awakening factor is this word here, serving as a basis for remembering as factor of enlightenment. So to get that over a little bit. So this is Satipatthana Bojjhanga Taniya. And then I worked because the word grounds, what are the grounds? What is the basis? And so this word ground, living on, standing on, situated on, this is remaining, standing. Let's see. There was more than one, I thought. But there is basis somewhere. Tani. Tani is basis also and grounds. And for some reason I didn't get those. I missed them. There's like a whole lot of definitions for this Tani. And then in the Satipatthana, there's this Tana. Oh, it's Upatana, but it is related to this. So it's a basis, and the basis is the objects, is what the objects of mindfulness. So that would be the four satipatthanas. That would be the body, the feelings, and the mental, or the mind, and the phenomena, the mental phenomena. So that these four, and then so we're having frequent, proper attention to these bases. This is what I'm getting from this. When I started to really look at the Pali and what it was trying to say, because it's kind of mysterious. But the commentary says that we should be this directing this yoniso manasikara to the basis, that the tana, and what supports our mindfulness is these what we're continuously developing the satipatthana. I hope this is making sense. Is this making sense? Yeah. Yeah, okay. So things that become the objects of mindfulness are the four satipatthanas, and other things that we direct our mindfulness to, what we are mindful of. And having having a continuous, as much as we can, because the thing is we can switch throughout the day, depending on circumstances, how we apply our mindfulness. And the quality of the mindfulness being supported by the yoniso manasikara. So this kind of attentiveness with care, and directing it in this particular way. Like when we're mindful of the body in our daily activities, or mindful of the mind, we see the mind getting off course, even that directing our attention to the hindrance in a proper way. So that's then within the realm of the phenomena, observing the hindrance with Yoniso Manasikara and using it as an object itself. So I'm using it, I'm just pulling in a few bits and pieces from the Satipatthana because it's so complex, but I'm saying your mindfulness can be continuous if you need to shift to um, another object or intentionally shift now. I'm getting up from my cushion and I'm going to do mindfulness, the Sati Sampajanya practice, uh, mindfulness in all activity. So I'm just uh, giving suggestions. So is that enough on Sati? This is the first of 7 and we're half an hour into it, but I think we have to go deeply into Sati because the Satipatthana, uh, either through going through all the uh, activities in all the types of mindfulness in the um, Mahasatipatthana Sutta or Anapanasati fulfills the 4 foundations of mindfulness or establishments. What translation do you like of Satipatthana?
I don't have a hard and fast one, but I do like bringing that the grounds for in.
Uh-huh.
It feels more supportive, pun intended.
So the 4 attending mindfully, being present with mindfulness, attending mindfully. But this is not Chattaro Satipatthana. It's just talking about Satipatthana, period. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so this is a real strong basis for the awakening factors to develop. And the other ones will arise as we start to recognize them in ourselves and nourish them. So the investigation of principles, the Dhamma Vicaya is the second one. Do you want to read that in the, do you
Okay.
have that?
Yep. Um, and what fuels the arising of the awakening factor of investigation of principles, or when it has arisen, fully develops it? There are qualities that are skillful and unskillful, blameworthy and blameless, inferior and superior, and those on the side of dark and bright. Frequent rational application of mind to them fuels the arising of the awakening factor of investigation of principles, or when it has arisen fully develops it.
So that's here. There are these, yeah, that's Bhante Sujata's translation there. And Bhante Bodhi says, and what bhikkhus is the nutriment for the arising of unarisen enlightened factor of discrimination of states, just to confuse us. There's so many different translations of this. Uh, there are wholesome and unwholesome states, blamable and blameless states, inferior and superior states, dark and bright states with their counterparts. So this is another, so both these two, the Dhamma Vicaya and the Sati Sambojjhanga, are very active, something we can really actively develop. And the other 5 unfold, but we also can attend to them in a way that helps their unfolding, that nourishes them. But these two are something that we take the virya that it comes up to is also going to support these the first two. So yeah, there's a I think I don't know if I translated all those states. I intended to do that. I could switch back over to but yeah, obviously, attending to these, again, Yoniso Manasikara, Bahu Likaro, frequently applying our minds rationally or care with care and prudence to what's arising with the states of the mind. And so you can see they're paired here in the Pali. They're they're paired. This is kusala akusala dhamma, and dhamma is like quality or state of mind. So this is like a broader view of what's going on. It's like with a kind of a broader or general view of what's going on in the mind, and just carefully examining them, seeing how they just a careful investigation. So you can see with Dhamma Vijaya, there's investigation of principles is one translation, and let's see, that's Bhante Bodhi, and what did like that's invest um investigate
Investigation of principles.
principles and
Which are you?
discrimination of states,
okay.
discriminating the states. So there's like this really seeing it clearly, and yeah, I'm sorry. And then Ajahn Tanisaro says analysis of qualities. So what are we doing here with this? This is like, these are three different translators' takes on what we're actually trying to do here. And what are these things that we're looking at? You can see they're paired. And it's not like we're abandoning the inferior and developing the superior at the state, but we're really investigating them. And just that kind of quality of attention, it's like it's a really maybe a deep, my take was it's more deepening of this Yoniso Manasikara, and just really scrutinizing and looking and examining very carefully.
Mhm.
And it's not like we're intentionally trying to bring up any of these states, but we're just it's also when you see this frequently, Bahu Likaro, that means that this is kind of this constant, like it's like we can have the mindfulness there and then this investigation at the same time. It's like it's going just even deeper and deeper into the mind. And
I feel like this is like the biologist or the immunologist who's at this point collecting information, counting how many, as they look at the blood sample, how many viral whatever however that shows up, the markers are in the blood and how many of the immune system markers are in the blood. So this is that data collection and discriminating from this, or this is a cell that's cancerous. These are cells that are not. And then in the next step, when we get to our effort, our energy, then we'll be choiceful about what we do with this information.
but this is also broad because it's the quality of mind. So there's this broadness to it as well.
Yeah.
The breadth of it. Uh, and so
So it's the astronomer as well.
yeah, it could be taking the data as well. There's this, yeah, well then, yeah, it's kind of like a lot of things going on at once. There's depth and breadth going
Oh, yeah.
on so that's good to, yeah, to get really like you're saying, really detailed, examining it carefully, like you do see, okay, this is, a virus, or this is an immune factor or something like that.
The
And so,
factors of immunity.
yeah.
Uh,
Um, and it may even be reflective too, because you're seeing them in pairs, and the skillful qualities have grown tremendously. The blameless, this and the unskillful are diminishing, but then you would be able to really determine the really minute, unskillful qualities, and the blameworthy uh would be more and more subtle. It would be, it wouldn't be blatant, things that you're doing, but you know, people might not even notice, but you see in yourself, okay, and blameless.
I also think when we bring in the blameless, or objectional, wrong, at fault, it does mean that we have a map we're putting this against, which we, find throughout the suttas of what is wholesome, what is not wholesome. So although we're not taking action on it at this point, there is a dividing it, the Buddha talks about dividing it into, um, wholesome and unwholesome. So it's not that it's just completely counting data points. There is a mapping happening to what should we continue doing, what should we not continue doing.
But yeah, but it's kind of like when you're doing, it's not like in the daily activity, it's just examining the mind of
What's here?
what's here,
But we also
what's
do
here
the
in the,
categorical,
yeah.
pinning of, that is a wholesome, that is an unwholesome, that is a, uh-huh.
So this
Um,
is kusala. Kusala is wholesome and unwholesome, or skillful and skillful. Sawajana waja. That's what we are just talking about. Blameless,
mhm,
or worthy or
yeah,
blameless. And then there's the
yeah,
hina panita. And
mhm,
so that's the inferior and superior.
mhm,
And this is more exalted. You're getting to more exalted states. So this is more uh qualities of mind dealing with the um kind of, which we'll get back to, ethical, base, that were the basis for ethics,
mhm,
these two. And then this is more just even broader, the broader quality of the mind. Either hina is small, but that means that it's it's very limited. And then the
yeah,
broader, then you're getting into more exalted states, like the Brahma Viharas and
mhm.
uh Panita.
And it's very body based for me. Am I smallifying? Am I shrinking? Am I tightening? Or am I open hearted,
But the,
expansive,
but the
unbounded?
but this is dealing with the mind particularly.
But
This
I know the mind through my body at this stage of my practice.
anyway, so at this point, this is mind. So the inferior, superior, and then Hina, this is the, and this also can be related to mind too, inferior, superior. Here, oh, that's the Hina. Okay. And then no, that's this one. Kan Hasuka Sapati Baga. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that's
Unfortunately, I didn't have time to get the definitions of each one of these.
well, the kanha is, this Kanha Sukha is interesting because yeah, I'm not fond of when you just pick it as colors, black and white, or lack of color and color. I prefer looking at it as bright. So the Sukha has the definition also of bright, and the Kanha is dark. But to me, it's the absence of light. It's the unilluminated mind. It's the,
Right.
yeah.
So specifically the mind, yeah. So
Oh,
so it's
you used the word
obscuration,
obscured. Yeah,
obscure, because in Spanish, obscuro is dark.
yeah.
So that in sense of dark and light, so it's obscured, so you can't see. So that darkness, there is a dark
Mhm.
sense of not being able to see,
And it's
and the
because of the
brightness,
absence of the brightness.
right? And then
Mhm.
so these are dhammas or mental qualities.
Mhm.
And so paying attention to them, yeah, as with the yoniso manasikara, frequent rational application of the mind to them fuels the arising of the awakening factor of investigation. But we're already in the process of investigation here.
Right.
And so it's fueling itself, and the more we look at it carefully, and
Mhm.
I mean this is how the Yonisi Manasikara is kind of actually morphing into the Samabhijaya. It's like, or there's a,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Well, it
or it's
bolsters.
bolstering it, supporting it. It's like the foundation of a building needs, it was not going to go away.
Yeah, and I want to correct myself.
Okay.
I did say it's, the absence of the brightness. That's true, but it does go all the way to the definition of evil. So, there are evil intentions and actions and things. And so it's not always just the absence of the bright. So I want to acknowledge evil.
Yeah. So, yeah, unfortunately, these connotations with color, uh, but in this case, it's talking about a quality of mind, and it's really hard to get the right in any language.
Mhm, mhm.
A good so anyway, so this is to be developed over time, and it's starting out, the Yoniso Manasikara and the mindfulness are building up to the point where we are investigating these qualities, we are analyzing these qualities, and it's this discriminating too, going, it sounds like almost like a comparison back and forth, and this is here, and is there any remnants of the unskillful there? The skillful's here,
Mhm.
uh, is there a remnant of the unskillful, or is there, and I can see that, there's nothing that I would criticize myself for. There's nothing that I would feel any shame about or feel blamable. But is there, so there's like a real investigation of the mind, analysis of the mind, and I don't think it's necessarily on a verbal level even.
Yeah.
It gets to a more like a quality of mind um at a certain point. But you can see there's a progression to skillful and skillful, blame worthy and blameless. And then you start getting into the actual mental state, it's self. Um that's beyond um the kind of the more detailed mental phenomena that go along with these other ones. It's getting more expansive and potentially, but you're still looking for any little flaws in the mind, I think is what's going on. And that attention, Yonasamanasika diminishes the unwholesome, diminishes the obscuring factors, diminishes the what we may call the harmful qualities of mind. Should we go on to energy? Are we done? Is that enough on this?
Do you want to open for questions on this part? Because
We
that
could,
is quite
it is quite a
quite a
bit.
mouthful.
Yeah. Are there any questions so far? Or should we keep going? I don't see any hands.
Okay.
So we'll keep going and then we can, there is a hand raised. Okay. Let's see. Oops. So John can unmute himself. Maybe we'll stop the screen. Maybe I'll leave the.
Go back up to, yeah. All right, go
So
ahead, John.
go ahead, John.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, the connection was bad on my end.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, something cut out, that's why I was delayed. And so in terms of the Sati Sambhojanga Tanya, what are the qualities of the support that make it Tanya?
What are the qualities of the support that make it Tani, a basis?
Yeah.
It makes it, oh, okay. So if I'm the mindfulness of the body for the body as the mindfulness of the body as a support. So I'm aware of the body in all my activities, say. So this is the continuity. One thing is the continuity. So I can take it, there's different modes of mindfulness. And I can take especially since there's four ways I can apply mindfulness, four general categories of application of mindfulness, objects of mindfulness, then I can really intentionally, I think part of it's in intention and continuity, and attention, intention, and continuity. So these are qualities that you're developing in terms of the object. And so I'm intending now to bring my awareness to the breath because I sat down on the cushion. So there's my intention, and then and then I have to have the attention, and then I have to have the continuity. So I think maybe those three things would be qualities to develop to support for it to be a basis. Because I could have had the intention and not follow through. No, the continuity wouldn't be there. Or have the intention and the attention isn't there. So that's a lack of continuity. But the quality of the attention too. How I'm attending. I'm attending the Yoniso Manasikara is a support. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
So we'll go back
To Virya, go down a little.
go down to Wiria.
There we
All
are.
right, because I've had an idea. I had an intention to just stop the screen share, but I changed my mind. So this is Wirya Sambhojanga, and the Wirya mostly is translated as energy. Do you want to read, do you have,
Oh, you
is
have,
that the
you have,
same?
you have them
Okay.
both pasted in here for
I got it.
Sujato and Bodhi.
Okay, so I didn't ellipse. I mean, not, I didn't, well, I'll read Bhante Bodhi's, and I guess they're both here.
Mhm.
Okay, so this is Bhante Sujato's. As they investigate principles with wisdom in this way, their energy is roused up and unflagging. So this is, like I was saying, this is like they're upping the you know the not, I don't know, the energy is starting to build up. But it's not going to be like frantic or something like that. It's like it becoming more powerful and more it's directed, it's strong, it's roused up and unflagging. At such a time, a mendicant has activated the awakening factor of energy. They develop it and perfect it.
Oh, you're in a different sutta. That's okay. That's it. Yeah,
Oh, this is a different sutta.
that's a
Thank
different.
you.
I'll go back and read the. Oh, if it's
Yeah.
down just a little bit. It's
Okay,
just the
thank
order.
you. Yeah, I had intended to do that, but I wasn't but I wasn't paying attention well enough to notice this was a different sutta.
It's applicable.
And so, and I didn't put the change in. So they,
Here's this.
yeah, but
Yeah.
this is, okay, so this is number 3, and this is actually called virtue. Now I'm remembering, I should have,
It's a cross reference to us.
it's
more-
another
more-
sutta. But this is how they progress. This is what I'm trying to show is how they progress. Thank you for catching that for
Yeah.
me. Okay, so they have activated so it's a progression. I'm just trying to show this here. And then we're down to Bhante Bodhi's translation. So that was Bhante Sujato's. And what bhikkhus is the nutriment for the arising of the unarisen enlightenment factor of energy, and for the fulfillment by development of the arisen enlightenment factor of energy? There are bhikkhus, the element of arousal, the element of endeavor, the element of exertion. Frequently giving careful attention to them is the nutriment. So you can see how it says here, the energy is aroused and unflagging. So when you're investigating the states, you'll see a shift in your energy level. So then there's these, there are the elements of initiative, persistence, and exertion. So it's getting, yeah, this says that, so he says there's arousal, and it's not even like we're trying to rouse ourselves up. It's been aroused. It's been brought up. And so the energy so we'll sense that there's this arising arousal in our initiative or starting. And the persistence and exertion, I think these two, it's almost like there's inertia, but we still are having to apply ourselves. I mean, part of it is the frequent rational application of mind, or the careful attention. It's like, oh, uh, there's this shift of energy, and so how we're managing it, being aware of it, so it doesn't get too, we're not trying to push ourselves, but then there's this persistence too. It's like maybe it's like driving and we've got maybe we've had a little bit of a downhill, so we've got some momentum going, and then we just know how to apply the gas so that we take advantage. I'm just trying to think of a
Well,
metaphor.
I've got one.
Yeah,
I've
so
got,
that we keep going. So we don't like really jam on as we're going down the hill and then just you know, we you know, we take advantage of that inertia and we keep it at a steady pace. We're going. It's like but we sense it, and so we're sensitive to it, and we're not burning ourselves out or going too fast, but we're moving. We're moving. There's movement. Anyway, so you have a metaphor too.
well, this morning,
Uh-oh, never mind.
oh, before that, before we had other discussions, this is when the birds were starting to sing, and so that meant it was, somewhere around 5 in the morning, and I was lying there and thinking, and so then I had the thought, oh, we're talking about the nourishment for the awakening factors, as my body is like there going, And so I investigated. Oh, okay. I've got this kind of sluggish, don't want to get up feeling in the body. But my mind is working here. Can I start to lever myself up? Because it would be good to meditate before the sutta. Um, and so I did have to give it a little bit of, initiative. Um, and so then, I got myself to the sitting. I did have a pre-made cup of coffee that I drank a little bit of to put some
Liquid motivation.
liquid motivation. I got on the cushion, and there still was, and so I'm still investigating, like, okay, what is it? What does it feel like? What would be what's the wholesome? And just with that investigation, I think it was before the coffee could have taken effect, but it just knowing that the coffee was on the way might have helped. I don't know. Um, there was more energy that was arriving in the meditation. And by the end of the sit, about an hour later, I felt, you know, not just caffeine, but warm, bright heart, mind. And so there are those stages of initiating and persisting. And then there is this kind of fullness that can then lead into our next factor, which we might not get to this week.
Well, I just want to get to look at these words briefly. Um, I got the poly here, and elements of initiative, persistence, and exertion. So, like I was saying, that built up, like in this case with the Bojangas, we're having the uh mindfulness in the investigation of states, really kind of like the getting into gear. I don't know, to use a metaphor or something like that, and then the energy arising. And so they have here, and the translation, um, this is the commentary. It says the beginning state. So it's like, because we're talking about factors, what I was talking about is factor 4 awakening. So
Yep.
at the beginning stages, we're gonna have to, yeah, but the awareness, bringing the awareness to what's going on, and bringing up energy, mental energy of interest,
It was interest that was like,
interest, yeah,
awakening factors today. Let's see how it works right now.
interest, and then investigation. Applying the mind, instead of applying the mind to the sluggish laziness, tiredness. No, I don't want to get out of bed. Kind of, you're not indulging or paying attention to that. You're thinking, oh, what is going on here? I'm feeling tired. So anyway, so this is 4, but once you get to, it's 4 awakening 2, but it's like now we're in a different kind of yeah, different arena or something. It's just like, at this point, for it to be really developing, it's developing.
Mhm.
They're talking about fuels the arising, this would be maybe arising, what I is talking about.
Mhm.
And then
I
when
didn't
it's at
awaken, but I at least got out of bed.
okay, so it's but it's kind of all this is frequent, daily after day after day after day. We're noticing in ourselves the hindrances, we're abandoning them, but we're developing the awakening factors of investigation, of mindfulness, and then bringing up energy. So these are the active ones that we can really focus on developing. And then, so when it's arisen, so then you've gotten up and you're sitting and yeah, so you're keeping it going.
Mhm.
And then eventually we fully develop it. So this is a thing that, so there's so it's just like anything that grows, like a plant or a child or
A bunny.
a bunny. So there's the arousal or initiative, and this is the first effort. This is how it's, but it may be this one, the commentaries may be talking about when we're actually, the awakening is actually happening.
Mm.
And the element of persistence, but this is important in our development too,
Mhm.
and bringing it up. And once it's up, we persist. And then the continuity, the continuous persistent effort. And then I put it here, Ajahn Thanissaro translates the awakening factor of energy as persistence. So I think we're like after the hour, but are people interested in just, we could read through the last ones and just touch on them? Do people have time?
Or do you want to continue with the other awakening factors next week?
What we could do is read through them and then we could
Uh-huh.
continue next week.
Yes.
Okay? Does that sound good? All right. Because it's nice to finish this. But those are good to focus on, like I was saying, but the other ones are equally important in the development, in the bringing up. Okay. So here we have, you see Bhante Sujato's translation on the screen?
Yeah, they would.
Yeah, okay. So we have mindfulness. We just went over mindfulness, investigation of principles, Dhammavicaya, energy. And then as our energy has come up and the mind is becoming clear, and this factor of rapture, which is always joy, rapture, PT. PT is delight, as a joy, rapture. And it's just not of the body. It's forget the word for it. It's a rapture not of the body,
I think that's how it says, not of the body.
yeah,
It's a mental.
it's a mental, and it may be felt because it's sensed, but it's not of from the eye, ear, nose, tongue, or like dependent on touch, dependent on sights, dependent, it's from the mind itself, but it might be experienced in the body, if that makes sense. And this will arise because of the purity of the mind, and these are energetic qualities. This first few are very energetic qualities. So we have a rapture arising, so frequent rational application of the mind to the grounds, to what's supporting them. fuels it. So the previous factors support rapture. And what fuels the awakening factor of tranquility when it has arisen? So the PT naturally settles because we've been developing, we've been mindful of the wholesome qualities, bright qualities, and so the rapture isn't going to kind of get too frenetic or uh we're paying attention to it in a careful way.
Mhm.
So it's not like delighting in the delight and getting it all out of control kind of thing. It's a which gives then it just gives way to tranquility. I don't.
Well, this is what's interesting about the sutta is that in the first three factors, they like seed it with actions or causes. And then from here out, it really is, there is a basis for this. There are grounds for this. And we've kind of already covered those grounds, and you just wisely need to attend to them. So we don't get a lot of like actionable things in these sections.
Well,
It's
we didn't
just
actually the first one either, but
oh, okay. All right, thank you.
but it is more just observation.
Yeah,
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 it is more um
a natural progression.
yeah. So it's let's see. Is it just say frequent but we are aware of it in a way, the way we're aware of it.
That's what the focus is for me is
Yeah.
it's on the way that we're attending to it. Like you're saying about not delighting in feeding the delight. It's an awareness, a proper attention to delight.
And then then it naturally settles into passaddhi.
Yay.
Passaddhi Sambhojanga. And tranquility is an element of awakening, or serenity. I like serenity better than tranquility as a translation. And there's calm, it's also calm. So, but it's just beautiful that these are awakening factors, they're supports, they're part of the process of awakening and important aspects of awakening. So there is tranquility of body and mind. So actually the physical body and the mental body. And so being aware of the mind and the body. And this is in our practice too, in our development. If I see my body tensing up, I realize my mind has kind of been going at high speed, the mental, the thoughts, and even if it's wholesome, like what am I gonna, how am I gonna phrase this for the sutta discussion? Or if I, you know, um, can sense in my body tension, or I can sense in my body relaxation. Can I sense the mind is relaxed? So when we're actually aware of when we're tense or agitated, but bringing the awareness to the times when we're not, when we're calm, when we're peaceful, that supports the development of passaddhi. When there's this cascade effect, from one awakening factor to another, but we can develop passaddhi outside of that. I mean, it can be, we can just by drawing attention to when we're calm, or what supports the calmness. But so that briefly is and then immersion is samadhi, and sama samadhi is the four jhanas. So this is translated as stability of mind as an element of awakening, mental composure as a factor of enlightenment. And yeah, this is too deep for us to cover today. But these are moving in the direction of samadhi, sama samadhi. But we can be developing those, at stability of mind and mental composure are things that we can be aware of in ourselves, even if we're not entering jhana. So frequent rational application of mind to them fuels the arising of awakening factor of immersion, or when it has arisen, fully develops it. So if we're in the jhanas, what fuels the arising of the awakening factor of equanimity? Equanimity, purified, is the fourth jhana, but you have to have equanimity to enter the jhanas in the first place. But this is fully developing it as an enlightenment factor. And so that's the grounds for the awakening factor. So these are all kind of, they all one unfolds after the other after a certain point, but we can also be working on these more passive. Well, how would you say it? The last three.
Oh, I don't know that they're passive. They're conditioned. They're conditioned by the
But I'm
previous.
opposite, but
Yeah.
the one's energetic and one's more
Oh,
calm,
oh, I see what you're
calmer,
talking about. I wasn't
peaceful.
on the same track. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's they can be developed as we go along before they are awakening factors and before there's this natural cascade going on. So I think this is so to look for for ourselves, what supports these, what is being aware of them, just like the hindrances, like being aware of it with scrutiny and like, okay, this is the ones we want to kind of discourage, and these are the ones that we want to actually nurture and feed. So we'll just, I think we got through it. We're just a little bit over. So I think we've got through it. I mean, it would be probably good to focus on these other ones another time, but
Sure.
I think maybe this
A
is
lot of other
enough.
suttas, yeah.
Yeah.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
So this body is sustained by food. It depends on food to continue, and without food, it doesn't continue. In the same way, the seven awakening factors are sustained by fuel. They depend on fuel to continue, and without fuel, they don't continue. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So that's ahara as fuel or food. So yeah, so may we nurture the awakening factors. Yay. Okay, thank you all. It's good to see you all.
Do we want to just go directly to live stream and then
So we
and
can
go
to
the after party?
why don't we bow to the Buddha?
Oh, yeah.
So if you have an image to bow to, we can bow to the Buddha. If you don't care to do that, you don't have to, but this is bringing up our joy, my joy anyway. Araham Sama Sambuddho Bhagava Buddham Bhagavantam Abhivademi. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Sangham Namami. Thank you all for joining. I'm going to stop the live screen.